Hello everyone, and welcome to the presentation for the paper without a paper, also known as the PWOP, and the IPP, or the Ignatian Pedagogical Paradigm. Most of you by now have received your assignment sheets. Maybe you've had a little bit of time to look it over, but basically this assignment is like a practice research paper. So you'll go through a lot of the steps required to create one, but you won't go ahead and write the whole paper. What I'm here for is to help you figure out the best way to go about writing your PWOP. Let's take a look at our little roadmap. So I'm going to talk for maybe 10, hopefully less than 15 minutes, about a little bit of the history of St. Ignatius, the IPP, and then also a few PWOP nuts and bolts. And then when we're in class together, we're going to complete the mind map activity. A little bit about St. Ignatius. Most of you are already familiar with him thanks to class with Mrs. Kramer, but in case you forgot, he was a 16th century Spanish soldier who was quite wealthy, also quite a playboy, so very into honor, glory, women, fighting, all that good stuff. But after he was wounded in the leg, he turned to a life of spirituality and eventually founded the Jesuit order. So one of the things that he did was found a series of spiritual exercises, which became the basis for the Ignatian decision-making process. And since the Jesuits are very into teaching and learning, it got adapted into the IPP, the Ignatian Pedagogical Paradigm. That vocabulary is a little confusing, but basically pedagogy is sort of a method of teaching, and a paradigm is an example or pattern of something or a series of occurrences. So essentially, the IPP is a method or pattern of teaching. It sounds like it's just for teachers, but really not. It can be adapted to anybody. It's really a model for knowledge creation, so anyone can use it. It's pretty useful when you're attempting something like a research paper. Here's the IPP in 5 easy steps, and then these are the steps that you're going to go through when you're doing this research project, and probably every other research project that you do here at Prep, in college, forever. Number 1 is context, so get background stuff or get background information. Figure out what you know and you don't know. The second step is experience, so go out, start doing some research, start figuring things out. The next is reflection, so take a moment, step back, take the temperature of what you're trying to do. Is it working for you? Is it not working? What can you tweak or do differently? The next step is action, so that'll be you pulling all these things together, your experience, your reflection, your context, and actually writing your paper and putting it together into a product. So make stuff happen. And then, of course, most importantly, evaluation. So how did it go? How was your stuff? Did it go well, not well? What can you do differently in the future? We have some learning targets for our time together. So when we do our mind maps, this is what I'm really hoping that you come away with. It is important that you learn about the Middle Ages. It's important that you learn how to do effective research. But all this knowledge is sort of in service of these sort of larger learning goals that will really serve you well forever. So we're hoping that once you complete this, that you can organize knowledge so that it's useful, that you can use prior and background knowledge as context for new learning. So today, the first step of the Ignatian Pedagogical Paradigm is context. So figure out what's going on. What do you know? What do you don't know? So today we're going to do mind maps together. So here I have pictured a couple different examples. And if you look at the one on the left, you can see that this mind map has sort of the central concept in the middle, and then a bunch of different sort of curly lines emanating from it with all sorts of different ideas. So notice a couple things, that this mind map has color, which our brains love. So you can see maybe in the purple transport branch that it's coded differently from lighting as an energy-saving climate change tip for their school. Another thing you might want to notice is that there are pictures. Our brains also love pictures. Notice too how the branches get thinner as they move outward. So the thicker lines kind of represent these big main ideas, and the thinner branches or thinner lines coming off of them represent sort of smaller sub ideas. So if you look at that orange branch lighting, that big one, underneath lighting they have a couple of ideas about where they can change the lighting. You know, at recess and at lunch, turn the lights off, or another idea is use energy efficient lights. So this is a pretty nice mind map. Don't be afraid to make your mind map beautiful. It's a helpful learning tool. If you look at the mind map on the right, this one is more text-based, but she still does put her main idea in the middle. And the outer sections are sort of divided into 4 categories. Questions, so questions about your topic. Search terms and vocabulary, so you can see she has track and field there, track and field mechanics, names of specific athletes. She also has a section for sources, so you can see YouTube is up there, myself in a video, so she might be a track and field athlete, so she might be interviewing herself about it. And you can also see there's a place for, well, not in this picture, but there's a place for big ideas and concepts. So what are some of the big ideas that come along with track and field? She also uses some color. I'm not sure what the key is for this, like what all the different colors mean, but I'm sure it means something to her. Sticky notes, also really helpful. So today in class, we're going to take some time and start pre-searching and creating mind maps. And these aren't due right away. They'll probably be due with your paper. And they're for you to use in your research process, and also to sort of help show your work, like how you got to the research topic you got to. You're going to start with a list of broad ones and then sort of have to narrow it. So let me take you to the PWOP website. We have one in our library. So you can get to the library website anytime. You can see here I've got a list of my little classes here. You should have the K-library listed as well in your haiku. So if you look here on the left under Class Project Resources, PWOP 2014, I click on that. Here's a picture of St. Ignatius. Other things are, here's our PWOP schedule, due dates in red. I will update this if need be. All the documents you're going to need, so our context mind map, the one we're going to work on today, is right there. Here is step 1, our learning targets that I mentioned before. Links to things you're going to need. And here are pre-search links. So you can go to Google and start searching right away. I don't recommend that. It's not necessarily hard to find stuff, it's just hard to find good stuff. So I recommend starting with things like Wikipedia, Encyclopedia Britannica, even our Gale ebooks. History.com is also a good website. And go in and type in your search terms and start to figure out what it is you want to know about your topic. And it can start really, really broad, and that's totally fine. Let me show you what the context mind map is going to look like. So I'm downloading this PDF. And then if I open it up, this page will not be here. But here's one template from the mind map. So remember that text-based one that we saw. I replicated it for you here so you can put your central concept in the middle, have search terms, vocabulary, big concepts, sources, questions. If you prefer something a little more open, if you want to do something bright and colorful or something different entirely, here's just a blank sheet for you. I'll have some printed sheets if you prefer to work on paper, or you can use this file in Notability and go ahead and mark it up that way. That's totally fine. It's up to you, whatever you prefer. So that's really it. When you get to class, I'll probably reiterate this very, very briefly just to remind you. I'll have these QR codes up so we can link to either if you haven't downloaded the mind map yet. Also the PWOP website, I highly recommend that you take a moment to bookmark it so you remember where it is. But other than that, I will see you in class soon.